it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the deal? We're waiting for Toby to show up any minute.
Yeah, he's going to come swap cars. He wants to take our car because it already has a car. I think I just heard him pull in the driveway.
Yeah.
He's going to take my car that has a car seat in so he doesn't have to deal with swapping car seats out in this cold, cold weather today.
I get it. That's not very fun.
No, definitely not. But they have a super fun adventure planned with Miles today.
Taking your car, he'll be asking for the snacks that he knows are in the in the center console.
Yes, I should probably make sure Toby grabs some snacks out of the cupboard to put in there because
Probably should reload.
and a sippy cup to
Hey, Topes,
yeah.
throw me a snack.
Yeah, and to put a sippy cup with water in his cup holder back there.
Yeah, you can have all the stuff.
I mean, his sunglasses are all set, but yeah, he'll definitely ask for a snack, and then he'll ask for another snack because one is never enough.
So we're I guess we're trying this, right? This whole slice of life, whatever happens.
Morning.
Oh, Tobias!
There he is.
I didn't have any pads for my ratchet straps.
You were gonna ratchet Miles to your car? Is that it?
Did you know you were going to be on right now? So you walked in with that joke loaded? Or do you just walk in with a joke loaded all the time?
So we were just saying you should probably grab some snacks out of Miles' snack basket because when he gets in the car, he's going to ask for a snack and then he's going to finish that and he's going to say, "Do you have another snack?"
Really not sure how much of him we're picking up, but we're trying it. Oh, yeah, we're live.
Oh yeah, welcome to the podcast, Toby.
Thanks.
I mean, as live as we get.
Long time listener, first time guest.
Why don't you come sit right here and you can have a conversation with Tim and I'll pick up some snacks for you and get a sippy cup.
Yeah, that's the beauty. We're just chatting and whatever. Hey, did you look into that show I sent you about the math guy? I can't believe Jody's watching it. His whole theory is on like patterns and prime numbers.
Yeah.
And when we first started watching it, I said to Jody, "You know what a prime number is?" Because I didn't think she cared. She said, "I don't know, 13." I was like, "Nice job, you did it." And then we were watching the show a week later, and I said, "So did you know what a prime number is, or were you just kind of guessing?" I don't know, 9.
A prime number for all those listeners out there is a number that can only be divided by 1 and itself, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's the most concise way to put it. I'm sure there's more of a
Look at this guy.
better definition out there. Probably just talking to myself at this point on the treadmill.
Oh yeah, your mic's not on.
Yeah, I figured.
We started episode 2, by the way.
Season 2.
There's a difference in those little words.
First season has how many? 12?
I think 12? Yeah. You're probably our most dedicated listener waiting for the new drops, aren't you? You do what? Listen
I
to
don't know.
them all.
You guys went a few weeks between 11 and
yeah.
12. I thought 10 was going to be the last one of the season, and then 11 and 12 were a little bit split up.
We've been having the discussion, and Jody's been getting a little annoyed with me about it. Are we going to start a new season? I don't know. We're just going to play it by ear.
Mm-hmm.
And then I cracked through her shell this morning, and she decided, yeah, we can start a new season. So anyway, this is technically our new opening. We're just trying.
Have someone stop by randomly and hijack the pod.
Yeah. Next week, hey, Zach, can you randomly stop by at... But we were getting ready to do this, and we thought, hey, let's just have Tobes walk in.
Yeah.
This is a much quieter entry than usual, though, because Tucker's put
Without
away,
talking.
and
I
Ivy
didn't bring
didn't
Ivy
come
with
along.
me. Yeah. I tried to call Tim at 8:30 this morning to ask if I could borrow the car, and he was sound asleep. I had already been up for 4.5 hours, just waiting.
You're such an old
Just
man.
waiting to call you.
You've always been our old man.
Just drank some black coffee in my whitey tighties and robe, staring down the driveway.
Well, I was awake like at 3 because Jody went into the bathroom and dropped something.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that happens, then I wake up, my heart's racing. I thought I was about to hear, Tim, I heard a sound, but it was her.
That's about the time M got up and left me last night. Went from day bed to bedroom bed.
You flaw bed.
Somehow still had no room in the bed because Ivy was with me. And I've wanted to go lay with M, got up and decided she wanted to go to the bathroom. So, and I got up and let her out, and then it was 4:15, so.
You're calling it a day bed. Is that the floor bed? The
Yeah.
TV watching floor bed?
Yeah.
It's a pretty good setup, really. All right, so what's the plans today?
Picking up Miles at 2:30, taking him to Impression 5, and then seeing if he wants to eat anything. I don't know, because we initially planned to take him out to lunch and then Impression 5, but nap time kind of got in the way there. So see what he wants to do, if he's hungry, if he, I mean,
We've all been
donuts for
getting
sure,
good
but
at figuring out Miles' schedule.
yeah.
And when to invite and when to plan.
Mm-hmm.
But he's worth it.
Yeah.
Does he have the keys?
No, I just walked in and got a microphone shoved in my face.
Do you have the keys? That's your invitation to scram. We have long pauses like this all the time, and I cut them out. You have no idea when you hear the polished production.
Oh, your cuts are very clear. I'm like, oh, there's a cut. Oh, there's a cut. It's all I can hear.
Shut up. Not always. It could be worse.
They could be.
It could be like the...
I have a feeling I'm going to be listening to a worse one shortly with this conversation.
Wait till you piece together... Hear the piece together quote you come up with. Hey, I need you to say...
In no particular order, just...
Idiot.
Slipped, fell, fence, jumped.
Moron. Myself. Me.
Driving range. Gonna need a bucket of ice cubes and a 9-iron.
What is that?
Billy Madison.
Whenever you're on for real, there will be a movie quote segment for sure. Or some tie into all of our movie conversations.
Yeah, I mean, if you want me and Zach to sit down, we can do all of Napoleon Dynamite from the beginning. As you can imagine, I do believe it starts with a gosh.
Such a goofy movie, but there's so many quotes that come up from that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. What were you gonna say?
Oh, my sign off was gonna be, it's Reese's Cups.
Attaboy.
I'll add in pretty much all of the Puff Paths. Don't say Reese's. They shorten it to like a...
Reese?
No, it's Reese.
That even makes less sense.
Mm-hmm. Poor Reese, whoever made these cups initially.
No, he doesn't even get the possessive put on the end. It's just...
Reese.
Well, I guess it's certainly wider than the Bepler family then. Oh, I miss this.
You imagine if we just always had a microphone for these conversations.
We talked about this a long time ago.
Do you guys keep a journal at all?
You mean about this
Recommend
or
it.
in life?
No, just
Life in general?
yeah.
Mm-mm.
A little page a day kind of thing. Yeah. I just started getting into it more. I'm not like every day, but maybe a few times a week. I'm not very good at it. I just write about the events of my day. But I guess that's much
what it is.
how they all start.
You don't have to have like a Doogie Howser epiphany at the end of each one. It's just... Probably never saw an episode of Doogie Howser.
I get called Dookie Howser enough at work.
I bet you do.
Doogie Howser.
But he kept a journal on his computer at the end of every day.
Sure.
But that's kind of a flashback to some of our best revolt memories. My grandpa kept. Did my grandpa too, or most of my grandpa? But he wrote down everything he bought that day, everyone they talked to, and prices of stuff.
Yeah. I kind of do that. Then I'll give like a little nod to the no one that'll ever read it. But
it's kind of nice. Are you doing it on paper or on your computer?
Paper.
Well, there he is. There's our old man again, journaling in a paper notebook. It would be a good episode.
Pretty tough.
You know, it would be a good episode. It's just you and me staring at each other.
That would have to be a YouTube episode.
Speaking of old people, Tim now stretches every night before he goes to bed. And last night, he was like, look at how flexible I am. And then all of a sudden, he was showing off how flexible he was, and he's like, oh, call Toby. It was fantastic.
You don't want to call me.
I don't think we've covered in detail what Toby does yet, but there's a lot of snapping of the gloves.
I can't do the sound like Zach. That wasn't too bad. But we can both do a good. Only 2 people I know that can do that.
That was so big when I was like in elementary school and everybody got in trouble. Would that make it to Detroit? Is that just universal? Where did we all hear that? I don't know. We should do a segment sometime of all the little things that somehow have been passed on from generation to generation before we had the internet.
Doorknob.
What's
You
doorknob?
know that one? Yeah, Jody knows it. If you fart,
You got to touch a doorknob?
yeah,
Oh.
someone says doorknob, they can punch you.
I seem to remember one in elementary
He's
school.
gonna say
where
something about watermelon.
It was.
Yeah,
You had to say safety, safety, watermelon, watermelon, peach fuzz, something else.
yeah.
If you didn't get that out before somebody punched you, you just got punched.
I think if you're the flatuleur, then
That
you
sounds
yell
fancy.
safety. And if you're the aggressor, you yell doorknob.
Oh.
Whoever says, obviously, safety means you're safe. Yeah. You ever play Guess the Prostate Size?
No, I haven't.
That's a different podcast.
It sounds like maybe it's guess the prostate size. That's the whole game, huh?
You got it.
So it's not just a clever name.
Well, it is. If you don't think about it.
Oh boy, we're cutting this whole Toby section out.
Please do. Or at least
Auto-tune it.
Do you want to sing something we can auto-tune?
You're welcome.
All right, for our sports episode,
sports.
what is one moment that has anything to do with sports?
This just came to my mind. We went to the little antique store right on the corner of Cornell and Grand River. You ever been there?
Oh, wooden skate?
Yeah.
Many years ago.
Yeah. It's disgusting. But anyway, there is some pretty cool MSU memorabilia there. Specifically related to the, what was it, 2012, 2013 Rose Bowl against Stanford, and Kyler Ellsworth
Mm-hmm.
has hit at the end of the game.
Tobes, we can talk about anything on this podcast. That's the beauty of it. So if it's a story your kids might want to know someday, then we fire away. Because what I'm saying there is that has a little extra memory for you, because after the Rose Bowl you got to go into the Spartan Stadium. Yeah. Go ahead and
Yeah.
tell it.
I think it was the next, or that same year, because I don't remember where that fell, if it was like a New Year's game or if it was
It
before.
probably was. It was right around there.
It was probably end of December, but that next fall or spring or something, it was spring ball. So I was golfing at the time with Patrick Narduzzi. Pat Narduzzi's was the defensive coordinator, his son, and we were really tight at the time. And so just like randomly one day, I think we played 18 holes in the morning, then took off to go to an afternoon spring like scrimmage basically. So went on the field and all that stuff, but when we went into the offices and everything to meet with his dad. So just like kind of hang out, get our passes or whatever. So we like walk in and like hold the door as Mark D'Antoni. I was like walking in behind us. I'm
The
like,
head coach.
Hey coach, come on in.
Hmm.
So we go walking back and go to Pat's office, and of course he's already got like an entire wall behind him is Kyler Ellsworth and that tackle. So it's just already like plastered on the wall, just like massive. So he's just like chilling in there, and we go and get our passes and hang out for a little bit. And he's like, "Hey, did you guys eat after after golf or whatever?" And like just like throws his hand, someone's in the hallway, and he's like, "Can you grab some Jimmy John's and some tropical smoothie for these guys?" And then like 3 minutes later, it's just there. Like that stuff's just like hanging around, I guess. But so we're just hanging out in his office, and then someone comes in and drops off a package, and he's like, "Oh, good, these are finally here." And it's his Rose Bowl ring.
Oh, wow.
The Rose Bowl champ ring. And he's a pretty big dude, so he's got massive hands, like it's like Grandpa Bepler.
Yeah.
Size like 12 or 13 ring or something ridiculous like that. So he just like hands it over to us, and it's super heavy. And then I think instead of like a ring, I think his wife got like some kind of like necklace that was like all Rose Bowl fancy
cool.
kind of thing too. But yeah, that was a pretty cool memory. All right. I have popsicles in my car. Luckily, it's cold out, but I should probably get them in the freezer.
Well, thanks for joining us, Tobes.
Say hi to M.
I will.
So if we're going to brunch tomorrow,
where you want to go?
I think we should try Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel.
I just want to say, this podcast is severely lacking in talk about the Fibonacci sequence.
Oh,
And we got to change it.
when you're on, for sure.
Have you ever looked at a shell?
Bye, Tobes. Thanks for stopping by.
You're joking, but it's already in my
Or
notes.
the stoma of a water lily? All right.
Thanks for leaving us with that. And him. Thanks for leaving me with him with that on his brain now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long day. All right.
All right.
Enjoy the Lincoln.
Got your toothpicks, Rich?
No, you got any?
Bye, Tobes. Love you.
Peace and blessings.
Toodles. Alrighty. You got lots of little bits and pieces clips to sprinkle in through lots of other episodes.
That was a lot of Toby, but he was ready.
Mm-hmm. Well, he wasn't.
Wasn't ready, but he was
He was
fine
game.
to sit down and go.
Yeah. All right, Tim.
Welcome to Season 2 of Becoming Chicken Pop, a podcast about our family, past and present, for our family in the future.
We discuss family, marriage, faith, and all the things that made us Chicken Pop. Happy New Year. Oh, Tim's finger dancing, intro music. Great. Happy New Year, Tim.
Happy New Year, Jody.
So yeah, we're going to call this kickoff to Season 2. It's a new year. It's a new start. We took a break over the holidays. Now we're back with like some content ideas. We have an outline of the things that we want to cover in Season 2. I'm excited.
We have an idea of an outline.
I have
Of
an
how?
outline.
Okay.
So a couple things to catch everybody up on. What do you think? We had some great holidays.
Oh, first, you said Happy New Year,
Yeah.
but I mentioned it in our little canned intro there. We decided we're starting Season 2.
Yeah.
Did you already say that?
Yeah. I said new year, new season.
New year, new season.
Yeah.
All right.
Same old chicken pop.
Yeah. I mean, we slacked off pretty hard there at the end of the year and beginning of this year, but there's just lots of stuff going on.
Yep.
So,
Lots of busy weekends, lots of holidays, lots of sports.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of weekends with lots of sports that needed to be watched
needed to be watched.
by us.
And that is, I mean, that sort of really folds into the topic for us today, is what a big deal that has been in our family
Yeah. And our marriage.
over the years and
Yeah.
through the years. And
Yeah.
we've planned a lot of things around Spartan games.
Yes.
Early in our marriage, it was hockey. We spent way too much time watching hockey.
Yeah. We started watching hockey together in college. You never watched hockey until you met me.
Nope.
And we started watching hockey.
Had no clue about any of the rules, how it worked, anything like that.
And then you actually tried your hand at playing hockey for a little while.
I did. It was fun.
Yeah.
That is a young man's game.
Yeah. Used to play late at night too, but ice time. You got to take what you can get.
Not a lot of prime time for guys in their
I
early
think you were in
30s.
your 20s or early 30s.
I
Yeah.
think early 30s for sure. But that
Yeah.
was right at the end of when I felt like being on ice skates.
Yeah.
That's
Did you play at the old Lansing Ice Arena that isn't even there anymore?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Which then became Toby's Gymnastics
Part of the
gym
building
for a
did.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. And that's back when I worked in Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
So I could go at lunchtime to their
Mm-hmm. You would
skating
go
rink
skate.
and have it all to myself.
Yep.
It was weird. But yeah, that was a little hockey sidetrack there.
Mm-hmm.
But we were going to talk about the things that we played first.
Yeah.
Because we've always had an
Sure.
interest. So I was
Well, tell me what you did as a kid.
Kid, it was anything.
Yeah.
Man, I told you, Pete had me training for the pros since the time I was 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I only did flag football, but baseball, softball,
Basketball.
a lot of basketball. Yep. Hockey was nowhere on my radar at the time. Just that was like a real specific. I mean, there was hockey's big at Michigan State, so there was a lot of kids around here, but it was like the little fringe kids. Oh, they play hockey?
Yeah.
It wasn't as big as it is now. So,
Yeah.
but that's kind of all we had.
Mm-hmm.
The big three sports.
Yeah.
So what about you?
I mean, I think starting in kindergarten. Well, I did gymnastics as a toddler. And then I did t-ball, softball. I wanted to play soccer. My dad would never let me because he was like, no, your knees are going to go the opposite direction. We're going to wind up in the hospital even more than we're already there with dislocated knees.
Honestly, that was a good call.
It was, yes. And then once I hit 6th grade, it was really all about volleyball for me. So I played volleyball, and then we played a couple years of co-ed softball together when our kids were little.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. You played a lot of, you played softball for years and years and years and years as an adult, but I played a couple years when we had a co-ed team. Then I had knee surgery.
Long enough to play as a young adult in my 20s. And then with Zach when he was late high school and college.
In college, yeah. And
So
Shelby played 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep. So that was kind of like my athletic career. But, I grew up in a sports family. So, my family at the time, everyone was Michigan fans. So I'm sure that we watched Michigan football primarily. But I remember watching all the bowl games as a kid. We watched a lot of hockey. We were definitely a Red Wings family. Baseball. Basketball was more when the Pistons were good. So those bad boy years, I definitely remember those in high school. Those were really fun, and getting into watching the Pistons when I was in high school and stuff. But sports was always kind of one of those things that we did. Mm-hmm. We watched, and we didn't plan our lives around it as much as probably we did. But yeah.
But that's weird because my family was not a sit down and watch game. Yeah. Well, it was a lot harder.
Yeah.
To begin with. There just wasn't as many interesting things on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the Wide World of Sports that would come on
Yes,
Sundays?
I loved it.
And that always seemed weird.
Yeah. When it would come on?
Ski jumping and
skating.
And it was the Wide World of Sports stuff you can watch. But
I loved it. I can still hear it playing in the back of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I never watched sports with my dad or my mom.
They didn't really watch sports. Yeah.
It was definitely Pete that got me into all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get in trouble with Kath if I remember this wrong, but I don't think she did sports outside of cheerleading. I know that's a sport, but I don't think she did any of the other
Team sports.
the big three that I was talking about. That would have been her thing. It would have been football, basketball, so that would have been the whole year.
Yeah.
Cheerleading. So, okay.
But your mom was a bowler for a little while.
I was telling you about that the other day, and I don't remember how that happened, but she bowled enough that she had a ball in her own shoes. But I don't really ever remember her going. But I know she did at some point. And I guess she roller skated. She had those too.
Yeah.
But I never saw my mom do anything athletic. I never saw my dad do anything athletic, except trying to play tennis with me on occasion in his jeans and a t-shirt. That's a pretty good sight out on the tennis court. But that was more about, let's just say we did it. It wasn't really playing any tennis.
My dad was, I remember my dad as a kid and probably even till, he played sports. I don't even know when he stopped. Maybe he finally stopped. Well, it was after he retired, he stopped golfing. But, when I was a kid, he bowled. So he and my mom bowled together in a mixed league. He bowled in like one, and I think at some point he was in two different men's leagues. So there was bowling all kind of winter. And then he played in a golf league with people that he worked with at Ford Motor Company, and he played softball. And then actually for a while when I was a kid too, he played volleyball in the winters. So he was always my mom. Like on weeknights, she was a single mom getting all three of us to our different events because my dad had his own stuff going on.
Not to make it sound too negative, but so many sports you didn't see him a lot.
Yeah.
When it was
a couple nights a week. He was gone doing whichever season it was. Yeah. So, sports were always, and I think, so one of the things, when we were in college, we talked about how we started watching hockey together, which was fun. And we also had season basketball tickets for a while at Michigan State. That was fun. Men's basketball. Way up at the top in the nosebleeds. It was Judd Heathcote's second to last season, maybe.
And it was just after Breslin was completed, right?
Yeah, Breslin had only been open like 2 or 3 years. By the time I had season tickets, I think you were a season ticket holder like the first year they opened, right?
That's what I was thinking. John and I had them, and we were like right on the floor somehow.
Yeah, in the Izzone before it was the Izzone, but yeah. It's crazy. So yeah, we got to see Judd Heathcote. Tom Izzo was the assistant coach. And those are really fun. And then when we got married, so you were playing softball, like when we were dating, you were playing like with a church team. So that was something that you always did. In fact, we came home from our honeymoon.
Oh, boy.
And you played in a tournament. Yep. But one of the things that I realized was I watched football if it was on. I wasn't like a huge football fan, but you really liked football. And so when we got married, it was like, okay, Sunday afternoon or Sundays, we'll go to church, we'll have lunch, we'll come home and we'll watch the Lions together. And so I remember like when we were first married in our little apartment and we had, what was his name? Mel something. He was like a kickoff returner for the Lions and he was so good. And I think that's when I really like got into football. Like you were really patient and that's how I learned kind of like all the rules and the ins and outs and the nuances and really started to appreciate the game was, I just decided, okay, this is something I'm going to learn about. It was something that you enjoyed that I wanted to invest in and I'm glad I did. So thanks for making me a football fan, babe.
Well, you did the same for me with hockey, though.
Yeah.
Because I was full of questions, didn't know what it was about.
Yep.
So, but anyway, I think we mentioned it's a big part of our family with Zach.
Yeah.
And Tobes and our families is.
Yeah.
It's a great time for us to get together,
It's a great
And
way to gather people
have some
together.
snacks, watch the game.
Absolutely.
And I mean, even on like New Year's or around that whole Christmas time,
Mm-hmm.
if we're all together, there's always some bowl game on or something.
Yeah.
And it's everybody's kind of interested enough. It's not like we're just sitting there and watching it, but it's kind of in the background.
Yep.
And those are always just kind of more of a good reason to get together and hang out and talk. But
Well, and it's crazy, but I think there are certain holidays that we automatically associate with sports, at least in our family, but I think a lot of families do. So Thanksgiving, the Detroit Lions play on Thanksgiving Day every year. Our entire lives, it's always been this way. So Thanksgiving, you always watch a Lions football game. And for a lot of years, it didn't go well, right?
Mhm.
The last few years, it's definitely been much more exciting. So Thanksgiving, we have the Lions. Christmas time, there's always bowl games. New Year's Day was always the Rose Bowl. Always, always, always the Rose Bowl until we got into college playoffs, and now it's a little different, but there's always bowl games still on New Year's Day.
Christmas time is actually always big NBA,
Oh, it is.
which
Yeah.
kind of just
Yeah.
we don't care about too much when the Pistons aren't good.
And then the other big holiday, and it doesn't always align, but enough times that I associate Easter with the Masters,
Mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't always line up, but it does enough times that
I think
I
it
always
honestly
associate.
Rarely lines up, but it did one time, and it was a
Amazing.
memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. So other holidays, our boys' birthdays are in September and October, smack dab in the middle of football season.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of years where we were planning their birthdays around their sporting events, right? Because it could have been soccer, it could have been flag football, could have been gymnastics.
I think early on, one of them had flag football and soccer at the same time.
Yes,
so we
they
would be over
did.
at Wilkshire.
Yep.
Go from one field.
Wilkshire to Murphy to, yeah.
I mean, even one field at Wilkshire
Right.
playing flag.
Yeah.
To right across the lawn to start playing soccer.
Yeah. And then, of course, there were Michigan State games, and and Lions games. So I would have to like stagger their birthday parties around. And a lot of times, I'm like, okay, well, there's a big game. Let's do their birthday this day. We'll watch the game. We'll have food, and it just kind of became a thing.
And I know that's not a thing for some families. Some people just don't get it, but it is the thing for a lot of families.
It is,
especially where we live, and if you're in that type of school district.
Yes,
it's definitely your whole friend group. It's your activities throughout the week, weekend, everything like you just said. But
so we talked about the sports that we played, the sports that we watch. Let's talk about the sports that our boys got to dabble into, because I loved being a boy mom. I love being a boy mom. And part of that is also, and it's not necessarily congruent with being a boy mom, but I also loved being a sports mom. Loved it. I mean, there's just nothing better than having to sit and just watch your kid.
That's what we loved about baseball. It was nice weather.
It was nice weather.
It was after work.
Yep.
And you just went
and you
kind of
sat
zoned out and watched your kid play baseball.
your kid.
You couldn't do anything else. It was a nice time. But as far as what they played, let's go way back.
Okay.
And there's kind of a full circle moment in here of Sporties for Shorty.
Sporties for Shorties.
Which no one will know who this guy is, but Mike Devlin. Actually, Pete and Kath might know who he was. Been around forever, running recreational leagues here in Hazlet.
He runs the recreation department at Meridian Township.
He's just been an icon around here because everybody knows him when their kids go through all the recreational sports. And he's just the perfect guy for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he still runs this or not, but I'm sure he's involved in some way. But Sporties for Shorties, behind the Y, at least it used to be for our boys.
Yep.
and they would give them a taste of all kinds of different sports,
Mhm.
and they're all
This is geared at toddlers, like
toddlers,
preschool
not running
age,
very well.
ages 3 to 5. Yeah.
So lots of heaps and really slow running and picking dandelions, but
And lots of snacks.
it's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So both of our boys did it, and the first full circle moment.
Miles will be doing Sporties for Shorties this spring. He just turned 3, so this spring he'll get his first taste. Team
I can't wait.
sports.
I hope
Yeah.
we get to go spy on a couple of them.
Oh, we for sure will. Of course we will. Come on. I mean, our boys did it all. I think, they obviously had that experience. Zach actually did roller hockey for a year. That was one of the first things he did. He and a little friend. Our nephew Sam was big into roller hockey. He went from floor hockey to roller hockey to ice hockey. But yeah, Zach did a year of that. Wasn't really his thing.
Mm-mm.
But, as little kids in elementary age, a lot of kids, at least in this area, they start off as soccer, right? As something herd ball. So they both did soccer, flag football.
With a bunch of dads like me coaching that know nothing about soccer.
Yes,
But
exactly.
I've always said all coaching is at that age, at least it used to be, was just keeping them occupied
Yeah.
and doing something all the time.
Yeah. And so where we live, like the little rec teams, they're called HIRA, which stands for Hazlitt Youth Recreation Association. And so back in the day, they used to have these reversible shirts that every kid wore, and you were either yellow or you were blue, right? And so everybody had the same shirt, and depending on if you were the home or away team, you were yellow or blue or whatever. And I'm telling you, like, there's nothing cuter than a 5-year-old in a shirt that's like 3 sizes too big because it's the smallest size they have, and soccer shorts that you can barely see the bottom of their shorts, and they're blue or gold soccer
It looks like a
socks
dress.
pulled up above their knees, and it's just the cutest thing. Oh my goodness.
How did they never figure out small sizes in those shirts?
I don't know, but they were always too big, right?
Yeah, because
Like always.
would always wear them ironically still in high school.
Yes. Absolutely. I still have a few of those shirts tucked away.
Yeah. And I know we have a picture of Zach and or Toby with
yes,
a dress, ankle length dress
Yes.
t-shirt and cleats sticking out the bottom.
I know.
Try and
They're
find
just
that.
the best. And they kind of did all the different baseball things: t-ball, coach's pitch, machine pitch, and then they pitched. And yeah, so baseball was a thing. Toby got really into gymnastics for a couple years. We signed him up for just a gymnastics course because the kid was just always climbing, jumping, flipping, like all the things. And we thought it would be really good for him. And he really got into it. So he actually did like competitive gymnastics for a few years where it was pretty serious. He was practicing 4 nights a week. He'd have 3-hour-long practice sessions 4 nights a week. We'd travel for different meets, and that was fun for a while.
Yeah, it was feeling serious enough that we didn't know how long it was gonna go in
Yeah.
advance, but
Yeah.
a combination of wrists that hurt him all the time and
A knee.
not enough desire beyond that to push through all that pain, which a
Yeah.
lot have to do, which
Yeah.
was fine with us. But
Yeah. And we took him to see, he saw a couple different sports medicines doctors. And one of them basically said Toby was subluxing his wrists constantly. And he's like, it's not going to get any better. And you can still do this, but you're just always going to be in pain. So, and we kind of left the decision up to Toby, and he decided, you know what, there's a lot of other things that I'd like to try. I don't want to spend all my time and have to commit to gymnastics. So we walked away from gymnastics, and he got really into, I think he started playing baseball again. He got really into golf. He started playing tennis. He did swimming for a year in high school, but golf and tennis were kind of the 2 sports both boys settled into by the time they were in high school.
Mhm.
Lots of basketball too. They both did like all the basketball stuff.
Yep. I think Zach was more into that than Toby, but Toby just did it because
his friends did it and it was something to do, and Toby doesn't like to sit and be idle. Yeah.
Yep. Neither one of them had the crazy switch for football.
No, they both played tackle football, but neither one of them loved playing.
I don't know if we mentioned it here, but I played tennis in high school, so there was obviously that that angle that I wanted to pass along to them, or at least play. And they both got really into it, so that was really their main sport for both of them in high school. But they did both golf. But it is a fun lifetime sport.
It is,
and
yeah.
Like a lot of people, we kind of took a break from our hobbies. Other kids were growing up.
Right.
But then towards the end of probably Toby's high school career, somehow I got into like some
it was
casual
when Zach
tournaments
started
with him.
to play.
Oh yeah, I was playing with them.
Oh yeah. No,
Or
you
at
started
least feeding
playing.
balls.
You went back to court 1 when Zach was in high school. Yeah. It was definitely when Zach was in high school. Guaranteed.
All right, I'll trust your Gilbert timeline over there. But anyway, still playing today to some extent. I think the boys are both into that young professional age of their life where it doesn't fit into their schedule all that much. Toby just doesn't really care about it anymore. But I enjoy it. Oh, I was gonna oldie-wed game you. Do you know what a sport I played a lot before tennis with Mike and my friend Todd
Racquetball?
at the Y? Racquetball.
Yeah.
We played a lot of that.
Oh, my dad was in a racquetball league for a couple years too.
A league?
Yeah.
He didn't do anything if it wasn't a league. Huh?
Do you remember volleyball? Did you ever play volleyball?
They had it at the Y.
Volleyball in a
couple
racquetball court was so fun. Loved
it. Really
it.
is.
It's really fun. Yeah. Oh, something else I forgot to mention that I loved. It's not really an official sport, but we spent years as like youth group leaders for our church that we were in. And so on Wednesday nights, we always had youth group, and we always had like an hour where we did some type of activity. And some of my favorite sporting moments are actually some of the games we played with youth group. My favorite though was floor hockey. It was everybody's favorite. And I mean, we got really into it. Like I was hip checking the high school boys and like all the things. Super fun. We would set up these super heavy, like long banquet tables around the perimeter of this room to create like the boards.
On their side.
Right. So we created like the boards of a hockey rink. And then did we play with a goalie?
Yeah, usually.
Usually, but like the goals were really small. It was basically just, we left like, 18 inches between two tables, and that was the size of the goal that you would have to. So that was really fun. And the other thing that we used to do was chair basketball. And that was really fun too.
Oh, the person in the chair holds a trash can?
Yeah, somebody has to stand on a chair and hold the trash can, and that's the hoop. Yeah. And you played with a smaller ball, not like a real basketball or anything. It was really fun. We got really into those kind of things with the youth group. So I just had to throw that shout out in there.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see posts or not, but youth group games have gotten really creative these days.
They have.
They're pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. Anyway, so those are some fun things I think that we love to do. I think, going back to the idea of like gathering people, I mean, for both of the boys, their 21st birthdays, we did a big tailgate at Michigan State on campus. Friends, family, like whoever. That's how we celebrated their 21st birthday. It was like a big tailgate at MSU. Super fun. Did we mention that we had season football tickets off and on for years? Finally gave them up a few years ago because we realized we really like watching bad weather games at home on our nice TV.
We are not the Stevens family.
No.
Who's had tickets for decades now.
Decades. Yeah.
And have they gotten any closer, or are they Still in the same spot in the end
I
zone.
don't know. I don't know.
But any weather,
Yeah, they're there.
they don't
Yep.
miss one.
Mm-mm. No, but like gathering people for things like that, like what a great way to like tailgates are really fun. And then we've done a ton of tailgates at home too. Like big games like, oh, let's just invite some people over. We'll have snacks. We'll watch the game. We'll hang out. Like, I think that's always been a good reason to rally and bring a bunch of people together. And for me, I am all about the football snacks.
And so is your family.
Endless amounts of football snacks, right? Or basketball snacks. I mean, so I was thinking this morning, we're about to head into official Dorito season. So Doritos season begins
true.
Super Bowl Sunday. You have to have Doritos for the Super Bowl because some of the best commercials are always the Doritos commercials. You have to have Doritos at the Super Bowl. And then we get into kind of like the end of college basketball season. March Madness. Doritos season ends with the national championship, men's basketball national championship. That is Dorito season.
It ends a little earlier, depending on when we get knocked out of the tournament.
You know what I was thinking the other day is I don't think our boys can remember an NCAA basketball tournament that the Spartans didn't play in.
Zach probably can.
You think?
Isn't this like 23 years?
I don't know. I don't know how many years.
I think Zach probably does.
Okay. I mean, Zach definitely remembers our national championship year, which it's been 25 years.
Well, I guess there's the timeline. It has to be more than 23 years then.
Yeah.
It must be in the 27 years.
It must be, yeah. So I don't think Zach remembers because Zach's only 30.
Lucky kid.
Yeah. But I was thinking the other day about that 2000 national championship, and I remember watching that game on our 27-inch box TV.
On the porch.
I think it was I don't know. I think it was in the living room at the time. And Zach got to go into school late the next day because he was up late watching all the recaps after the game. Of course, he gets to stay up and watch the whole game in one shining moment, the best one shining moment ever. But anyway, yeah, just like lots of good memories.
So here's a weird thing about how we remember things. I was sure we were at the Stevens watching that game.
I don't think so.
Because I thought I was on the floor of their back room where the TV is.
No, I think Mike and Marcia were at our house. We had watched one of the tournament games at the Stevens that year for sure. But I'm pretty sure we were at our house in our front living room, and Mike and Marcia were at our house. I do remember that we were recording it on a VHS tape too.
Oh, that checks out.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? How much technology has changed. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how are we all in a room watching a 27-inch TV? It's crazy.
You know, what just came to mind, though, was we're talking about watching big sporting events with the Stevens.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but it was at their house in Langsburg.
Oh, yes.
When the famous wardrobe
it was
malfunctioned.
a Super Bowl.
Yep. Janet Jackson and
Justin Timberlake.
We'll leave it at wardrobe malfunction. But anyway.
We were there with a bunch of people from church.
Yep. And Zach was sitting on my lap, I think. It was that long ago. Or next to me, like in their little bay window.
Yeah.
But anyway, it happened and everything just went
silent.
Dead silent. I feel like it all went dead silent on TV also.
It did.
But then we all started talking real quick about something else. Oh, man.
And the look on Zach's face?
I don't even remember that. I'm not even sure if the kids picked it up.
Oh, I think Zach did. And I mean, his mouth was just wide open. He was just like frozen, like, I can't believe. did that really just happen? Like, yeah. Wow. Remember John Chaney just losing it. And Mike. Oh, so funny. I think one of my other, so, I mean, we loved when the boys were little and we got to go to all of their things. But I mean, I think some of my favorite sports moments as a sports parent and a mom were definitely like the tennis years, you
Yeah.
know, because,
Which was 8 solid years of
yeah,
the boys
yes,
with the varsity tennis team with the
right.
coach that we loved, which helped.
Absolutely. But it was just, there was a culture in this tennis team that was different than any other that we had experienced. There was a camaraderie. you know um they would do things like team dinners, and so every year I would host at least one team dinner, and we'd have 20 boys at our house. And I got to be a thing where I made homemade calzones for 20 boys, and they would play foursquare in our driveway.
This was at the Pine Ridge house.
This was at the Pine Ridge house, yeah. And or like at the Choi's house, they would have a team dinner and they played sting pong. Yes, it's ping pong where you let somebody, when you lose, like somebody gets to drill a ping pong ball at you.
You got to lift your shirt.
Yeah, you got to lift your
also.
shirt. Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, they have like all these different kind of core memories. And then because our team enjoyed some success, we got to go to the state finals every year, which was kind of like a weekend trip and all the things when you travel with a group of high school boys. Or we do invitationals that we're out of town and traveling with that group of high school boys. And they're so funny. So funny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the number of times we had Toby and Will in the back seat of one of our cars driving to a tournament and, or yeah, just a lot of really good memories tied up. And, we got to know the other parents really well. It was kind of like our family. So Toby's senior year banquet was really sad. It was kind of our last time as those tennis parents, but we enjoyed those years a lot. And I think the boys did too. Yeah. Sports are one of those great things. And I know not everybody's into sports and it doesn't have to be sports, but I think it's important, like for kids, you give them the opportunity to explore a lot of different things, figure out what it is they like. The interesting thing, and this was especially true with Toby, is we realized Toby definitely gravitated towards sports that were not full team sports, where he was trying to improve on his personal best and he was competing. So like golf and even tennis to a certain degree. But even like swimming, that was kind of like one of the things. Gymnastics, like yeah. So it's kind of figuring out, what things challenge your kids, but I think it's just such a great way to teach them so many things. I mean, not just teamwork, but perseverance, conflict resolution, like managing their time and their priorities. I mean, one of the things that I've always said about Toby and gymnastics was such a great tool for Toby's education. And like the way that he became disciplined and the way that he learned how to study and focus, because he would come home from school and he'd have an hour and a half to eat something, get all his homework done. He'd go to gymnastics, come home, take a shower, and he'd be in bed. Like he had very little free time during the week when he was doing competitive gymnastics. And that's really like when he learned, like, okay, I've got to buckle down. I've got to do this. I've got to do this so that I can get to go do these other things that I love. And I mean, it was really kind of a big turning point, learning that discipline.
Because before that, he was not about school.
No, he
it
did
was
not
really
like
stressful
it.
on him. He just didn't want to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
We had lots of not arguments, but like stalemates at
Mhm.
nights where you have to do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I just can't.
Yep.
But yeah, then after that, he was off and running.
It was
it
like
was
a
just about-
switch. Yeah.
Everything is just about doing
what do I have to
things the
do to
best that
get
he
to the
can.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So anyway.
you know what we were talking about, and you just mentioned that he'd do his work and then he had to go to bed, and I think that was partly on him. He knew he needed the sleep.
Right.
Zach was the take a nap so we can watch Monday Night Football.
Yes.
Watch any sporting event. So I kind of like that Toby jumped in here at the beginning, because that was how we lived together when he was in middle school and high school, was just having dumb conversations
in college,
watching
and now.
dumb comedy stuff on TV,
Mm-hmm.
whatever else. Zach we watched sports together.
Mm-hmm.
And some with Toby, but he just wasn't as interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
So back to our sports theme, from the time Zach was a child, we were watching sports together. And again, Tobes was too, but it wasn't his favorite thing.
He's
in the
not
world
as
to do.
passionate about it
Yeah.
as Zach. Yeah.
So I miss the hangouts like we just had with Toby. I told you the other night, I miss the sports hangouts with Zach.
Yeah.
Um,
And luckily, you really still do get
we
those.
we still do.
It's just not every game that you watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
A big part of time together with my sons.
Right. Yep.
You know? And it's the old cliche of, I could never talk to my dad, but we could always sit and watch a football game, baseball game for 3 hours together. That wasn't the case with us. We
Right.
plenty of conversations and interactions, and love being with each other.
Well,
but the game on top of it is just a good excuse, like you said, of getting together.
Yeah. And I don't talk to you very much when we're watching games now, because you're usually watching the game and you're texting Zach. You and Zach text constantly through games.
Mm-hmm.
Every game. You're always texting, right?
Yep.
So you're still
So I
having
guess
those
that's kind of how we're
conversations.
together.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, you don't talk to me because I'm too stressed out sometimes.
Well, that is definitely the case sometimes too.
I feel like I'm getting a little better.
Oh, you definitely have. And even Zach's gotten better, for sure.
Yeah.
The way Zach
in
manages his
terms of
stress.
recovery,
Yes.
but
Oh, there was a
still
period.
one of your favorite moments.
Yeah.
When
When Zach gets stressed about watching a game?
One of our lasting memories is when we beat Duke to go to the Final Four.
Yeah.
A few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's been more than a few now.
Mm-hmm.
But down to the wire game, tied at the end, had to finish it out, and he was on the floor.
Yep.
In a vertical fetal position.
Yep.
Wrapped around a pillow.
With
his
pillow.
face in the pillow.
Uh-huh.
Because he just could hardly stand it.
Yeah.
So
that is his go-to sports stress position. I've seen that position dozens of times. He still does it to this day.
So I don't know if it's a Shelby effect or having your own son effect, but he flattens it out a little bit now. But definitely some stressful moments. Don't you think I did pretty good when the Lions lost?
You handled it pretty well. Yeah. I think you had kind of resigned yourself to the strong possibility of that collapse, but
I recovered pretty quickly.
You did.
There wasn't like the big hangover we've talked about of mild sports depression the next day.
Yeah. Yep. And Zach was pretty good the next day too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shelby and I had talked about it. We're like, okay, we're going to give him today. And then like tomorrow, we're going to have to do an intervention if they're still
so you
brooding.
both had a strategy in
place.
place.
We did, for sure. Yeah. We talked about it.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You had a meeting. All right, we need to plan
the
playoffs.
I mean, we have to live with you.
If they win, we're going to have a party next week. If they lose, we're going to have therapy.
Yes, exactly.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, this is fun, Tim. Tell me, let's do our some laugh, smile, cry moment for this week. I'll go first. Mine was last night. You had left to go pick up dinner, and I got a FaceTime call from Miles. He was in the bathtub and I said, "Oh, hi." And he said, "Where's Pop? Can I see Pop?" I said, "Pop's not here. He's in the car." And I could hear Zach in the background. "Yeah, we tried to call him." And Miles said, "He didn't answer. Pop didn't answer." Zach said, "Well, he answered. We just couldn't see him." Miles said, "He didn't answer." And so anyway, like the whole thing. I'm like, "Well, he's still driving in his truck." "In your driveway?" "No, I think he's on the road." "Can I see him?" "Nope, he's driving right now. He's not here." "Oh, okay." Like, but it was just one of those things. Like, I mean, he didn't even say hi to me. His first question, "Where's Pop? Where's Pop? Where's Pop?" It was very sweet. How about you? What's your laugh, smile, cry this week?
Mine aren't really from this week,
Okay.
but I had, I keep notes as something comes up
Oh,
because I
yes.
have to remember it. But I would say one of my laughs, and because we've had such a long lapse here, I'm kind of going back a couple weeks. But I was playing some goofy game on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and this particular one was like little square numbers, and you pull another one up underneath it and it doubles it. Then you pull another one up and it doubles it again. So you're keeping track of, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 on up into super high numbers. And as I got into one of the high doubling numbers, I thought, Jody would hate this game
I
so
hate it just
much.
hearing you describe
And I
it.
knew that you would hate hearing it described. So I had this moment in my head, and it just kind of made me laugh out loud. Just thinking how much you would hate that game.
Yep.
But you also forced me into a bit of a cry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I fully did, but it was definitely a lump in the throat and a couple tears probably. You had us watching some show with Ted Danson in it.
Oh, yeah, his new Netflix show.
Yeah. And it started out with him in the morning, a real happy start.
Yeah.
Going through his morning routine all by himself in his house because his wife had died a year or two ago or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Jody knows that's a big trigger for me. And it always has
It's like
been.
your only trigger.
It is. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And it goes back to when we were dating or first married.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think maybe we were married, but
So anyway, that was one of those moments where I don't know if I thought of my dad or myself in the future or whatever it is. Somehow it always hits me hard. So that show,
yep.
you know,
Just an
got
older
me.
man all by himself.
Mhm.
Lonely.
And there's been other times where you see it coming and you distract me.
Yeah. Yep.
Where I've leaned over to start saying something and you're like, nope, we're thinking about this right now.
Yeah. All right. Anything that you're listening to right now that you want to share?
This one also goes back a few weeks. Because something came up in my playlist and it was a Third Day song. And I was like, wow, I really like that album. So I went back and I started listening to the whole album. And I thought this was both yours and mine favorite band probably for a while.
Yeah.
And really just before I jumped on the Switchfoot train, they became my favorite since late 90s.
Yeah.
But we both listened to them a lot and it
Yeah.
was so good.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went down that whole rabbit trail, listened to old Third Day songs. So
It was at one of Zach's early concerts too. We went to go see Third Day. They were playing at the auditorium at MSU. And I remember we were there with Dave and Kath, and we got like our seats were really close to the stage. It was really loud. And I think we wound up going and sitting like up in one of the balcony things because it was just too loud with Zach as like a little kid. But it was really fun. And one of the things it's like this moment that stands out is Mac Powell was the lead singer and he was like, "All right, church, let's sing this together,
Mm.
Like, and interestingly enough, the
Was
first time
Switchfoot with them somehow?
no, it was odd. No, but I was just going to say, the first time I saw Switchfoot in concert was at the MSU auditorium, and we had seats up in the balcony, and we took
Okay.
both boys with us.
That's where I'm.
It was a few years later. Both boys were with us then.
That's where I
though.
was mixing them together
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. I can still picture us like right there, but that's cool.
So how about you? Got a listener read right now?
Well, the other day, I had this flashback. Speaking of concerts, I had this flashback to this concert that we went to. Oh my goodness. I mean, the boys, again, this was like 25 plus years ago. We went to Wings Stadium in Kalamazoo, and we saw DC Talk and Audio Adrenaline. And it was the Jesus Freak tour. And I remember them doing Jesus Freak. And I had this flashback to be like, I was like sitting in the seat to them playing that song and thinking, man, they were so good. Audio Adrenaline was so good. That was such a good show. So then I had to pull up Jesus Freak on my phone and
How'd it hold
give it a
up?
listen. It was good.
Yeah. I just, I go back 20 years on some stuff and it just doesn't hold up as well anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of the third day stuff does. I guess that's what makes them more timeless to us.
Yep. All right. Well, this was a fun episode. And I'm excited to have more surprise guests on in season 2. We get to hear more voices in our family and hear more stories and perspectives.
Yeah. We'll see how it edits down, but it was fun doing it. Just kind of letting it roll.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We're getting more equipment all the time to see what we can handle.
That's right. I haven't convinced him into video yet, but I think I've convinced him we might be able to do some video reels promoting our episodes. Put some of those little short bite-sized pieces of content out on just socials for everyone. So.
Yeah. And back to the theme of this whole podcast, and is just a little more of the real life stuff that our kids might want to hear. That's the kind of stuff we would have wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Again, talking about our grandparents and things we wish we could have experienced. Some of it was just, how do they handle a day?
Right.
What their weekend look like?
Yeah.
You know? So hopefully we're bringing a little bit more of that in, and we'll see how it goes.
Love it.
Well, future fam, in case you listen to this someday and we have never met,
We love you.
Sports. I'm not very good at it. I just slipped, fell. I get called Dookie the flatulure in my whitey tighties, just talking to myself.